Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. And today I want us to learn about idea development in fashion design. What I mean by idea development here is how a designer can create a new product. Okay, I'm talking about a garment. And before a designer does that, you need to go through certain processes or guidelines to be able to produce a new garment. We don't want a copy and paste designer anymore. We want designers that will be creative. Let's look at some of the steps involved in idea development. So the first step, idea development itself, is a part of designing in which ideas, topics, and concepts are structured and developed. This means that the designer needs an idea, and under the idea, you can develop a topic or a theme name, and then the concepts, which are the reasons why that garment is being produced or the purpose for that garment. So the first step is definition of an idea. It means if you are a fashion designer or probably a fashion student who would be graduating and you need to represent your clothing line on the runway, the first thing you need is an idea, and the idea is the kind of garments you want to produce. I am going to use evening wear as the kind of garment I want to produce for now or for the session. The next thing, you choose your materials, that is your inspiration board, mood board, color, fabric, and storyboards. I will be talking more on that in my slides. And then you sketch your designs, you make drawings of all your designs, you make your patterns, you make samples or toile or prototype, and then you stitch the main garment. This is the first step, which is my inspirational board, or the inspirational board the designer is supposed to build. The designer is supposed to get an inspiration, and that inspiration is going to help him or her to be able to create the garment designs. Okay, and that is going to be unique from any other design out there. So these are just samples. Follow my pointer. These are just samples of inspiration boards. So this is someone's inspiration first, there's another inspiration, and there's another inspiration. But for this session, I'm going to use this inspiration, the third one, for this project. Good. So I have my inspiration here, and the theme of my inspiration is lines and colors. Right. Good. Let's move on. The second thing you need to build is the mood board. What is the mood board? The mood board is supposed to bring the feeling the designer desires to bring in the garment, and the mood board brings the feeling of an evening wear, the feeling of an evening program. So on your mood board, we want to see pictures of evening programs or people posing in their evening garments during an evening program. So that's the kind of feeling we want to have, and that is the difference between the mood board and the inspirational board. The inspirational board has the inspiration or what inspires the designer to create a new garment, but the mood board is just bringing the feeling the designer wants to bring out or achieve. So the mood board will actually contain full images of humans and probably occasions. The color board. The next thing is the color board, which is derived from the inspirational board. Okay, if you check our inspirational board, I'll be going back to my inspirational board. So if you check my inspirational board, you realize that all the colors I have on my color board is derived from the inspirational board. Look at my inspiration board. The colors I have here are the same colors I have on my color board. We have a 12-point color wheel. There are 12 colors, but you can have all those 12 colors on your color board. Your colors are only derived from what you have on your inspirational board. So this is my color board. You can choose any representation, any composition, any arrangement. This is how I choose to arrange my colors. Okay. Fourth, fabric board. Your fabric board contains the kind of fabrics you want to use to stitch your clothing, and the colors of the fabric should not be different from what you have chosen as your colors on your color board. So in this case, it means the colors you derive from your inspirational board goes with the color board, as well as the kind of fabric color selected. Right, the next thing over here is the sketches or your drawings. Now your drawings are supposed to be derived from your inspirational board. You don't just design from your imagination as a designer. You need your designs to be derived from the inspiration board. What I mean is that when you look at my inspirational board, we have lines and colors, okay, as my theme, and that is what it is. So I am expecting to see colors, I'm expecting to see lines inculcated in my sketches. So if you look at my sketches, you realize there's a lot of representation of lines, there's a lot of representation of colors, and the colors that I have painted over here are the same things you can actually find in my inspiration board, color board, and even the fabric board. So a designer designs. This is where we need your creativity as a designer. All right, you get a silhouette or a figure type that matches your kind of clothing line. I have an evening wear here, so I've selected, let's use this as my my sketchboard, and I have selected poses, and I've drawn all my evening wear garments. So you can see the colors are working here. This is where you paint the fabrics that you have selected on the silhouette. It is a true representation of what you are going to stitch. All right, don't forget to add accessories. Okay, now the storyboard is sometimes it becomes optional. Some say everything on idea development is a storyboard, but over here a storyboard explains the concept of the designer, why the designer is doing that. So if you read through my example, I have an example here for my designs. It means that the concepts I have behind the designing an evening wear, and the reason why I'm trying to use lines and colors for an evening wear. So if you read carefully, you would see that this is talking about the whole concept I have behind my collection. So you can take your time, pause the video and read through, and then you understand a lot better. This is where you talk about the design, the colors, the reason why you chose the colors, the reason why you chose the kind of fabrics you chose, and the reason why you're using lines and colors for evening wear. Your concept is explained here. Now the next step after all this is when the designer now makes patterns. Okay, please note these are just samples of patterns to explain this whole session, or to explain this whole thing we are doing here about idea development. They are not a true representation of the designs I have on my sketchboard. Okay, so this is where you actually get work as a designer. You make all the patterns of the garments you have created or illustrated. And the next step is your prototype. A lot of designers like dodging this one, which is the sample size. Remember, it is going to be a new product, I mean a new garment, which you haven't tried before in any fabric. So this is where we want to know if your fabric selected will work well with the design, if the seams you have selected are going to work well with the fabric and the design. And if you make your prototype, your sample, or another name is the toile, and there's any mistake, this is where you can make any corrections. This way you would know if your design is going to work. You need to add other things or subtract from it, so you get the exact design, so that when you move to the actual fabric, the fashion fabric, you are not going to waste it. You've made your corrections, and you are sure that when you stitch this garment, it's going to come out perfectly as you imagine, and it's going to even fit the models you want to bring on your runway. So this brings us to the very last step, which is the final garment that you produce. And so you can see, my ladies, and their final garments just as what I had on my sketch board. So this is what the steps are in idea development and fashion. As a designer, you're supposed to go through all the